movie opens 40 years after the events of Tron Legacy, and we are informed about the advancements in the field of AI and Kevin Flynn having a vision to delete the boundary between the digital world known as Grid and the real world. This vision has been carried forward by two companies named Income and their rival Dillinger Systems. We are introduced to Dillinger Systems CEO, Julian Dillinger, who has created a very powerful and highly sophisticated master control program known as Aries, who obeys his every command. Aries thrives in the digital world known as the Grid and provides security to the Dillinger Systems. The scene shifts to a meeting where Julian is showcasing his achievements to his clients. He reveals that he has succeeded in bringing the digital constructs to the real world via particle laser technology. Soon, a huge car is constructed from laser beams, and from there emerges Aries. Julian pitches Aries as the perfect soldier who is also fully expendable and has no weaknesses or emotions. However, Aries demonstrates an unexpected sense of self-awareness, noting Julian's indifference to whether he lives or dies, and also taking an interest in the natural phenomena of the real world, such as rain. Impressed by Julian's achievement, the clients depart with a smile on their face. But just after they depart, Julian's mother, former CEO Elizabeth, chastises him for failing to mention that Aries can only survive outside the grid for 29 minutes. And true to her words, Aries soon disintegrates into nothingness. Julian claims that it will soon be irrelevant, as he plans on stealing the permanence code from Income, which can break the 29 minutes barrier and keep the digital softwares in the real world permanently. The scene shifts to a remote station in Alaska, where we see Eve Kim, the CEO of Income, along with her confidant, Seth. Here we are told that the station was set up by Kevin Flynn 40 years ago and was rediscovered by Eve's sister, Tess. She believes that on one of Flynn's old computers lies the permanence code, which can prove to be a breakthrough for humanity. Luckily, Eve manages to find the code in a floppy disk, and true to its name, the permanence code manages to stabilize an orange tree from the digital world for more than 29 minutes in the real world. But Julian, on the other hand, had a feeling that Eve was close to this discovery, and hence orders Aries and some other artificial soldiers, named Athena and Caius, to break into the Income grid and download Eve Kim's personal files. Aries and his team soon infiltrate the Income grid and manage to steal the data, but while on their way out, are confronted by Income's artificial soldiers. A battle ensues, and Caius is injured. This is when Aries disobeys his programming and helps Caius. Meanwhile, Julian was keeping an eye on everything and drops a powerful virus on Income grid which neutralizes their digital soldiers, allowing Aries a safe retreat. On the other hand, Eve and Seth download the code to a hard drive and set off back to Income headquarters, where she is informed about the recent attack on her company's grid. Meanwhile, Aries checks all of Eve's personal files and finds out that her sister, Tess, had died of cancer, and this made her follow her footsteps and discover the permanence code so that she can uplift humanity and develop medicines for incurable diseases. He also finds a quote from her books, which says, "Beware, for I am fearless and therefore powerful." Her personality and character impresses him, but soon, he finds out the details of her Alaska visit. Using the satellite images, he discovers the orange tree in the region and soon understands that she has found the permanence code. This message is conveyed to Julian, who orders him and Athena to steal the code from Eve by any means. Soon, Eve lands in the city and the two pursue her into the city on light cycles, bisecting a police car and causing havoc all around the city, displaying their ruthless nature. She manages to shake off Aries, but Athena proves to be more persistent and finally manages to trap her in a parking garage. Not willing to give up, Eve strikes her with her bike and escapes in Athena's light cycle, with Aries chasing her. With neither of them willing to give up, their chase finally ends when they crash into an empty port. Reaching the time limit of 29 minutes, Aries demands for the permanence code, but an adamant Eve breaks the drive and throws it in water. Soon, Aries and Athena disintegrate, but to our horror, Julian's men use a particle laser to transport Eve into the Dillinger grid in the virtual world. Post this, Aries scans her using sophisticated software and informs Julian that the permanence code is inside Eve's mind, but if it is extracted, she will face certain death, both inside the grid and also in the real world. To our shock, Julian agrees to sacrifice her to obtain the code, and hearing this, makes Aries resent him even more. He lies to Athena that Julian had denied the extraction of the code, and this raises Athena's suspicion. Unfortunately, Athena discloses Ares' suspicious actions to Julian, who commands her to kill both Ares and Eve, after extracting the code from her mind. Just as she and her guards were about to extract the code, Ares escapes with her, and Athena sends killer drones to stop them from escaping the grid. Ares makes a deal with Eve as per which he will send her back to the real world, and in return she will bring him to the real world permanently using the permanence code. Being well versed with the grid, Ares uses his skills to transport Athena through the portal, and both of them manifest in the real world via the particle lasers. While Ares fights the real world security guards, Julian threatens him that it will be the last 29 minutes of his existence. But his threats does little to deter him from escaping with Eve. Not willing to loose the code, Julian brings Athena to the real world and orders her to bring the code by any means necessary. Meanwhile, Ares and Eve travel to Encom Lab, where they intend to send Ares to Kevin Flynn's grid, where there is a backup copy of the code. While traveling, Ares expresses his appreciation for the work done by Eve, and he reveals that he knows that she is working hard to achieve her sister's dream of uplifting humanity. Post-reaching Encom, Eve and Seth set up the particle laser and send Ares into Kevin's grid set up by Kevin Flynn 40 years ago. But soon, get ambushed by Athena. She manages to injure Seth and destroy the laser, effectively trapping Ares inside the grid. But just as she was about to digitize Eve and send her inside the grid, the sprinkler activate, and for the first time, Athena feels the water drops in her skin. This delays her, and just as she was about to pull the trigger, her clock reaches 29 minutes, and she disintegrates, and Eve breathes a sigh of relief. A disheveled Eve and Seth try to fix the particle laser to bring back Ares, and this is when they are joined by EVE assistants Ajay and Aaron. She discloses the recent happenings to both of them, and they join hands to fix the device. Meanwhile, the Dillinger particle lasers get activated by Athena, and she returns from the grid. Julian is taken aback by this incident, and as Elizabeth tries to shut off the particle lasers, Athena stabs and mortally wounds her, reminding Julian he instructed her to obtain the code by any means necessary. Elizabeth spends her last words blaming Julian for everything that has transpired until now, including her imminent death. Back on Flynn's grid, Ares meets with Flynn, and he expresses his desire for permanence. Flynn is fascinated by the notion of a malfunctioning program who wants to live, referring to Ares, as well as his inability to understand his own internal motivations. Flynn grants him the key to permanence, but warns him that if he dies in the real world, he will die for real, with a better name for permanence code being the impermanence code. On the other hand, Athena pilots a recognizer ship into the city as she scans for Eve, and seeing this, the Encom members understand that they need to destroy the Dillinger grid to stop Athena from respawning, and hence, Eve takes off running to buy them more time to hack Dillinger's grid. Athena's ship is shot by military aircrafts, but she turns out to be stronger, defeating both the fighter jets. She then traps Eve in a cage of hard light, and prepares to return to Dillinger headquarters in a light tank. But just then, Ares rematerializes in Flynn's arcade using Flynn's particle laser in a new neon white suit. He intercepts her, and with his new identity disc, destroys the tank before dueling Athena. Athena summons more Dillinger guards, but Ares gives them a good fight using his newfound powers. Ajay, Seth, and Aaron successfully penetrate the Dillinger mainframe and shut it down, making Athena weaker. As she reaches her disintegration, Ares informs her that the Dillinger systems are down and hence she will not be able to respawn, and with this, he bids his former teammate goodbye. Meanwhile, the Dillinger headquarters are raided by SWAT team, and rather than being taken into custody, Julian reboots his grid and digitizes himself. Post-victory, Ares and Eve thank each other and go their separate ways, with Encom using the permanence code to develop climate change-resistant agriculture and new cures for various diseases. In the ending scenes of the movie, we see Eve receiving a postcard from Ares in which he explains that he has been living happily in the real world and intends to find others like him. This is how the movie ends. If you like this recap, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Please also check out other videos in the channel.